If you could go back in time and give your 25-year-old self one piece of advice, what would you say to her?
There's a lot of things I could have done differently. I wasn't going to live. I was sitting on the sofa. I couldn't function. I said to myself, you can't move, can't live, and you can't die. Right now, I think young people are having a terrible time, especially young men.
What do you think life would have looked like if you could have stopped caring about what others think of you, let's say at my age of 25?
Oh, God.
A few weeks ago, I did yoga with a bunch of older ladies in Newport Beach, California. Now, when I was doing the downward dog, I looked to my left and noticed that the woman next to me did it just as well as I could. And she told me after the class she was 83 years old. So immediately, I knew I had to interview her. Jan is one of the youngest 83-year-olds I've ever met, but she's also been through a lot in life. So the life experiences, life advice, and wisdom you're going to hear today, in my opinion, is some of the most shocking and interesting that you definitely didn't know you needed to hear.
How old are you?
83.
What does it feel like to be 83?
Well, it feels wonderful because I don't feel 83. But then you start having to think, well, let's see, how many more years could I live? And then you start getting into age things. But I think it's wonderful. I'm happier now than I was when I was 73.
Wow, yeah.
And happier than I was when I was 53.
Really?
Yeah.
What have you done in your life to get to 83 and feel this way?
So my spiritual work is everything. And that's what's made the difference to me. So when I was like a little older than you, I was 35, I realized I had a concept of God that was too small. I wasn't happy in my marriage all the time. I had 3 kids. So I started looking.
Yeah.
I started asking, okay, well, what's going on here? What do I need to know to be my best self?
You're talking about your marriage. I'm assuming you're divorced.
No, my husband passed.
Your husband passed.
Yeah.
Well, when you're talking about the relationship problems, what is that? What do you mean by that?
Have you ever had a relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what they are.
Right.
Yeah, it's control, respecting the other person's independence, and thinking you have a better idea. So you got, at your age, if you're not married,
No.
so you can figure that out before you get in a relationship. But I was, we married in 62.
Yeah.
So the husband did the job, worked, and I was a nurse, but it was his job to make the money. And he said, you do the other work, which I did.
Right.
But that doesn't work anymore. You know that, just watching your friends.
No, of course.
No.
You have to have a balance.
Partnership. It's a
respect.
partnership now.
If he didn't pass, would you have been...
Married?
Yeah?
Sure, I would have hung in there. I was already with him 45 years, so
Wow.
you think I would have given up?
When did you... Well, do you regret that? Do you have regrets about
Staying
that?
in my marriage?
Yeah?
No. What happened, though, when he passed, because we had such a him controlling and me being that kind of marriage,
Yeah.
that I grew up a lot after he passed. And I had to become independent.
What is advice that you had given to your kids before they got into their own relationships, their own marriages?
Oh, I don't think I gave them any. I think they learned from your mistakes just living with you.
Right.
But I don't remember telling them anything.
What do you wish maybe that someone who is, let's say my age, who isn't married yet,
Yes.
what do you wish that someone like that does before getting involved with someone?
You know what? You have to love yourself first, don't you think?
For sure.
Yeah. If you don't love yourself, it's hard to love and be with somebody else. But I don't know how you're going to figure that out at 25.
Well, we're going to listen to you.
Yeah.
That's why we...
It took me a long time to figure that out. And you have to respect yourself and just be independent. Not selfish. You can't be selfish.
What does loving yourself look like?
Oh, Lord. For me, it's an inner, and it's still ongoing. It's an inner awareness of who I am spiritually, who I think I am, where I think I'm going, respecting myself. And that's taken me all my life. Yeah, so if you can get it done in 25 years, good for you.
Yeah. When you look at young people today, like people who are around my age, I can tell you a lot of people haven't figured life out and they're trying to figure it out, but going through a lot. What do you think about younger people?
Well, I've got lots of them in my life. I think they're beautiful. Yeah. And it's going to make a big difference in our culture if we keep educating them to be loving.
Right.
Yeah.
For you, what is a truth you have learned about life you wish more people understood?
I think I am a spiritual being, so I'm more than a human being, and I'm more than my ego. And I think when somebody's interested in that and open, amazing things happen. So if you're not really interested, you're just living on the surface, that's what you get.
Yeah. My translation of that is basically be genuinely interested in people and things.
Well, be interested in life. What is life really? Like you said, you talked to the Dalai Lama, somebody like that. They're really interested in what life's all about. And it's not about religion. It's about this the thing that made you leave home, that. If you can put that into words, that urge that says, this is not working, I need to do something different. Not everybody can do that.
I would say a lot of people suppress those urges.
Absolutely.
And
they eat, or they date, or they drink.
Right. Yeah, they find a way out. Yeah,
and they find a way to escape from the urge.
Why do you think people suppress that? Basically, why do people work in jobs they're not happy with or live lives they're not happy with, assuming those people have the choice to do what they want in life? I'm not talking about the people who live day to day.
It's fear, don't you? Fear. The unknown. What's going to happen if I don't do what I do? I didn't know to do that when I was young. I just did what I thought I was supposed to do. Like I said, I'm 83, so you can imagine in 1962 what that was all about. You just be obedient, be a good girl, do what's right.
Right. World is different now.
It's very different.
So given the world's different now, what would you recommend to someone
That's young.
feeling, the way you felt?
I think go inside yourself. Find somebody that can help you as a counselor. Ask deeper questions. Learn to listen.
Could the counselor be a friend as well, or?
Sometimes that starts that way.
Yeah.
But for me, thank God, I found people that were interested in spirituality. So it was taking you into bigger questions.
Yeah. I'll put some of my questions in my journal. What is a big goal that you set for yourself when you were younger that you never achieved?
I don't think I knew how to set goals when I was young. I don't think I knew how. I think I just did what was prescribed was, you fall in love and you get married and then you have children, and then that just carries you through your life. Because you can be very wrapped up in your age. If you're, most people my age are sick. Something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
And I've already decided I'm not going to spend all my time going to doctors.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
How do you recommend that someone achieves the goals that they set for themselves?
But it has to be inner. To me, it's this inner drive rather than outer drive. I journal all the time. I write down things, goal setting. It's like, I know I'm to be about this business of being present, aware, alert. So that's kind of like this past few years I've written that down. Really, it's an awareness that I had that's what I'm to do with my life.
It's funny. You said you have your book. This is my book, so we both made a book. See, the alignment is crazy.
Yeah.
Mine is actually like what you said. Goal setting journal.
Yeah.
Is that figure out what you want in life, answer the right questions, the deep questions, and then set goals. Once you figure that out.
Right. I don't know what's next for me. The book. I don't know how to market that book.
Right.
But I think it's helpful. I think it could help people, that, especially if they relate to depression. But it's more than that. It's really a journey.
Can you pass me the book?
Yeah. So
let's try this as a form of marketing.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll plug this book in the description of the video. But this is what the book looks like, right? What does love see? Well, tell me about the book. What is the book about?
So one of my counselors said, don't ask what you see. Ask what love sees.
What is the difference between what I see and what love sees?
It's so much bigger. I think I know what I see, right?
Right.
But I don't know what love sees. So I'm in a place of unknowing and receptivity.
Can you give me an example of that in real life? Because I'm not, from your life maybe?
Well, you were asking about the young people. So if I'm in a discussion or argument with my daughter, what I see is personal. But when I say, this is not going well, and I say, what does love see? Then I pull back and I listen inside. Something bigger is going on here that I don't see.
Why do people not see with love and instead see with themselves?
I think because you're not awake. You have to wake up to who you really are, and a lot of people aren't interested.
Yeah.
It's all ego-oriented.
What is one thing that when you were younger you put a lot of importance on, and as you got older you realized wasn't that important?
Oh, yeah. Thinking it was important that people liked you. It doesn't matter.
When did it not become important to you? Around what age?
Oh, over the last 15 years, really big.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're in the middle years, you go, I don't really care, but I do care. And now it's like, I don't really care.
At all? Yeah.
Well, I still do. I'd lie, say I did.
Yeah. So I've interviewed over 1,000 people. I've asked that question to more or less everybody.
Yeah.
What you said is the answer 85% of people give.
Really?
Caring what other
Like
people think about
of
you.
them. Wow.
What do you think life would have looked like if you could have stopped caring about what others think of you? Let's say at my age of 25, you would have figured that out
Oh,
and lived by it.
I probably would have been involved globally with women. I could help them be their best selves.
So what I'm understanding is you held yourself back in a lot of ways because of that.
Oh, God.
If people who are my age could understand that and grasp it, that it doesn't matter what people think of you, given that 85% of people I've asked the question to say that it wasn't worth it, yeah, I'm sure life would look a lot better. So what's your opinion on that?
I still think it's a very deep place that you have to be. And you have to know that something's not quite right and not be afraid to ask like you did and say, well, what is that? When I came out of this depression, I had had a counselor for 40 years. And I didn't feel fear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I felt freer than I'd ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
Because the place I was in was I wasn't going to live. I was sitting on the sofa. I couldn't function. I said to myself, you can't move, you can't live, and you can't die. So there you go. So you end up with some kind of surrender. Yeah, I don't know. Right now, I think young people are having a terrible time, especially young men. They don't know. You don't have any role models. You don't have any people to say, be your best self as a man. If you feel feminine or sensitive, you're put down. You need somebody to say, hey, all that's okay. Be your best self, like you said.
What is a big mistake that you've made or a big regret that taught you a valuable lesson in your life?
I don't think there's mistakes so much. I think it's what you're learning from. You know, it's like, oh, yeah, I could have done that differently. I didn't, so I learned that. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of things I did wrong, but they taught me something, and that's a different way to look at it, don't you think?
For sure. Is there an event or something that you're thinking of?
Back to the marriage, I would say there's a lot of things I could have done differently, but I didn't have the courage to do those things differently, nor the knowledge.
Would you have picked someone different?
No. He was my best teacher. Oh, my God. He
brought you to where you are.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, because he was a risk taker. He knew what he wanted. He had his own company at the end of his life. I was not a risk taker. Secretly, I was, because I married him, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, mirror image. Yeah, that's what you do. You seek somebody out that'll compliment you in a funny way. Yeah, so even that wasn't a mistake. I mean, we were 21 when we got married, for God's sakes.
What is the biggest lesson you learned from that?
From my marriage?
Yeah.
It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
It's something that you've been led to do. Even if you were ignorant of the leading, like I didn't know. I just knew I felt love for that man. Yeah.
If you could go back in time and give your 25-year-old self one piece of advice, knowing what you know today, what would you say to her?
Oh, I'd say enjoy life, love yourself, be your best self. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah,
Sweetheart.